So, I just got done with my top 5 most expensive games I own. Sorry for not recording it horizontally. I've learned my lesson. I've atoned for my sins. So, this video won't be as long. Just something super quick, super short. I wanted to go through some games that I thoroughly enjoy in my collection. Couple things to start out, or really one thing. These are not my favorite games of all time, at least some of them. A lot of my newer games, and by newer, I mean anything released after probably 2015-ish, maybe even 2010, I usually have on my computer. So I have a lot of my games on Steam. So while these may not be my favorite games of all time, they are my most favorite ones that I have physically. So to get into that, for starters, we have Pokemon Platinum. Now, it won't focus, that's okay. I don't have the box, the manual, anything like that for this. A lot of my DS games, I do not have CIB. When I was a kid, I just kind of took the game out and I would put it in like a little carrying case. I wish I didn't do that, but I did, so now we're here. So this is my original Pokemon Platinum that I got when it first came out. Put so many hours into this game. I would say it's probably on par for one of my favorites, tied with maybe Emerald up there. But I don't have Pokemon Emerald anymore. I sold that to GameStop for a PSP for $14. Probably the worst mistake I've ever made as far as video games go. And I regret that a lot. So I don't have Emerald, but I do have Pokemon Platinum. And then we have Parasite Eve. Now, obviously, this is CIB. Parasite Eve is an amazing game. Amazing. Now, I would say that Parasite Eve is probably in my top 10 favorite games of all time. Super awesome game. It's basically if Final Fantasy and Resident Evil came together and they had a kid, and this is that kid. Now, this was made by Squaresoft, obviously before they became Square Enix. Really interesting game. You do have to play it twice to get the secret ending, or I guess the true ending, if you want to call it that. I have not gotten a chance to do that because my memory card got corrupted and I was on my second run. Really unfortunate because I had a really awesome build. I was working my way up. I think it's the Sears Tower is what it is in the New Game Plus run. But yeah, I never got a chance to finish it, but still a really great game. Definitely pick it up if you can. They do have Parasite Eve 2 and 3. They call 3 the third birthday. It's on the PSP. It's not really, I don't want to say it's not a good game because I've never played it, but the general consensus is that it's not a good game. It's not really Parasite Eve. And Parasite Eve 2 is more of a real-time action game. I don't know what to call it, but they wanted to be more action-focused. I've only played a little bit of it because, again, memory card got corrupted. But they're both really fun, but Parasite Eve 1 definitely takes the cake so far for me. And then we have probably my favorite Pokemon game of all time, Pokemon Black 2. So Black and White, pretty much considered to be the best Pokemon games. Black and White 2, they all enhanced that. Now this one is CIB, picked this up at a convention recently. Soundtrack, great. Antagonist, great. Elite Four, great. Gyms, great. Art style, great. Pokemon, great. Black and White 2 really knocked out of the park, and this was pretty much, I don't want to say the last good Pokemon game. I have played every single one since then, but definitely my most favorite, and a lot of fans' most favorite. It's whenever they pretty much perfected the sprite style, and then after that, they started transitioning more into the 3D, obviously with X and Y, things like that. So the last bastion of, I guess, classical Pokemon, if you want to call it that, but Black and White 2, really awesome Pokemon games, and just general games in their own right. Now, getting into the top 2, we have God Hand. Now, God Hand and my number 1 are actually my number 1 and number 2 most favorite games of all time. Number 3 would probably be Dark Souls 1. I have Dark Souls 1 on my PC. I don't have a physical copy of it. I do have Demon Souls, but that's not up there. But this is my second favorite game of all time. Again, complete in box. Again, got it at a convention that I went to, I think, a couple years ago. Now, the thing about God Hand is it's definitely a product of its time. We will not see another game like God Hand probably ever. So if you want that really good, just over the top, beat 'em up, kind of anything goes, old school PS2 game, this is definitely your go-to. This is bread and butter. So many customization options when it comes to the combos and, well, really just the combos. That's about it. This game has gambling, which is pretty peak. We love gambling. Horse racing, which they called it Poison Chihuahua Racing because they have poison chihuahuas in the game. God Hand, truly an amazing game. If you have not checked it out yet, at least watch something on it to get a feel for what it's like. But to truly experience it, you're definitely going to want to play it yourself. So God Hand, I cannot recommend it enough. But yeah, my second favorite game of all time is God Hand. And then finally, we get to number one, which can only be my favorite game of all time, and it's Silent Hill 2. Now, obviously, Konami has had some hits and misses with Silent Hill, especially recently. I don't want to say recently, but, early 2010s, late 2000s, that whole era, when they transitioned into, the 6th generation? Whatever the PS3 and Xbox 360 was. It was kind of, again, hit or miss, like Homecoming, things like that. Not really a fan. Obviously, that's whenever they handed it over to the Western developers, so people consider the first 4 pretty much the mainstays. Now, obviously, if you guys are fans of survival horror, you know that Silent Hill 2 recently got a remake by Bloober Team. That is an amazing entry point into the series. If you haven't played Silent Hill before, if you love Silent Hill 2, or if you gave Silent Hill a shot a while back and then you decided maybe it's not for you, go ahead and give Silent Hill 2 Remake a try. I think Silent Hill 2 Remake is probably the best way to get into the series. It's definitely one of the most economical ways to get into the series. But you definitely want to, I would say, if you haven't played Silent Hill before, probably go into it by playing the remake is what I would suggest. It's definitely a lot more modernized, obviously, because it came out so recent. But Bloober Team did a very good job at capturing what the original Silent Hill 2 was all about. Now, if anybody were to ask me, the original Silent Hill 2 is still my number one favorite game of all time. I think that Silent Hill 2 Original and Silent Hill 2 Remake both have, their own merits they can stand on. And I think there's place for both of them. So if you play the original, it's worth going and playing the Silent Hill 2 Remake. There's a lot of things that I don't want to say changed, but a lot of different things in the remake that honestly add to the experience. But there's obviously, something about the original Silent Hill 2. It's, I don't want to call it lightning in a bottle, but that's as close as we can pretty much get, in my opinion, to what the original Silent Hill 2 really was. So if you enjoyed the Silent Hill 2 Remake and you have the opportunity to play Silent Hill 2 Original, definitely give it a shot. Like I said, they can both stand on their own, and I both think that they offer great things to the player. So Silent Hill 2, my favorite game of all time. Obviously, I have a lot of other games in my collection that I enjoy playing, but these are by far the ones that I have physically my most favorite games of all time.